Welcome back to the saddest show on YouTube. I'm just kidding. We're fucking back.
Hey,
I'm not in a good mood, but I'm going to be for you fans at home.
you
Um,
hear it?
all three of our teams lost today, unless you were rooting for the C's. Hometown team for now.
Hometown team for now.
It's fair. It's fair. But yeah, I mean, we're just going to talk about day one of the playoffs, and we'll briefly touch on the plan because we didn't talk about that, right?
I mean, not really, to be honest.
We'll briefly go through that real quick. Just say our thoughts, teams' futures, what kind of how the plan kind of played out, and then we'll just go into the playoffs today. And we're gonna start. We'll go reverse order of games. But so first thoughts on the play-in tournament in general. Just overall thoughts. Do you like the play-in as a concept or no?
I like to play in. I think it gives guys a warm up to see like what they're capable of for the rest of the season. Like I feel like that's where the dog mentality starts to like come out because you want to make the playoffs. And I think for the opposing team who loses in the play in, I think that is the closest thing that they can use to take notes on for the next season on how to get into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a
Yeah.
great opportunity for teams, and yeah,
I'm I'm not a fan of the play-in because I think like if Miami lost, like Miami Bucks will be a bad series just because the Bucks are so good. But I still think it'll be more competitive than the Bulls and the Bucks. We saw the Bulls and the Bucks last year, and it was like not even remotely close.
yeah, yeah.
Miami, they have the coaching, they have the good enough players, and they have a scheme and all that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be good. But the fact that they could lose that game and they should have lost that game, it's like I don't know. And I think you got to give credit to the teams that are in the top 8, or if you did it, you would have to. I think I saw an idea on TikTok where instead of doing a play-in tournament for the playoffs, you do it for the first pick. So you give the
Mm,
bottom 4 teams like games. So even
mm-hmm.
if you did it for the playoffs, because I think they're going to keep it because
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
draws good money, but it's not the bubble anymore. We don't need the plan, but they're going to keep doing it. So we're going to talk about it like they're going to.
hmm
But I think it'd be cool if you did like 2 early games with like say the Pistons versus the Hornets, and then the Spurs versus the Rockets or something,
hmm
or in over the course of 2 separate days, and then
yeah,
you did
yeah,
the
yeah.
late games as like a 7 and 10
hmm
Heat and Hawks, and then Raptors and Bulls, and you did
Yeah,
that
yeah,
as the late game, and then vice versa, do the West the next day or something like that.
yeah,
I think that would be wild, super cool because while no one would really care about like as a general fan about the bottom 4 teams, but it gives you incentive not to just suck because you
yeah,
actually
yeah,
have to
yeah.
win to get the
Mhm.
first pick. And so like
Exactly.
yes, you could look at it and be like, oh, the better team's gonna get it, but at the
Yeah,
same time, those teams are all so bad they
yeah.
could any team could beat any of them.
100%.
So
And I think that would showcase how good these teams are. You know, I was talking to you and Matt earlier. Like, I think we're in uncharted territory in regards to like how talented these players are and how skilled they are in the league now. To where all the teams that you would think are a bust. I think that they have the opportunity, but are just missing like some key components, some key role players to their organization and figuring out their schemes, till they get a playoff run, maybe show up to the finals. I think that like look at Sacramento, they made it to the first round in the playoffs, and we'll talk about the end result in a second. But I think that, they haven't been here since '06 or something like that. And this is De'Aaron Fox's first time being in the playoffs, Malik Monk, and they really take the helm for Sacramento in regards to like a barrage of scoring and having them being the highest scoring offense in the league.
yeah,
Um, I think that we could see that within, with the Detroit Pistons or, around maybe like a year or so or a couple years. I don't think they're far off. I don't think any team in the league is far off from
Yeah,
from
it's wild. Like any team can really make a run. Like
yeah.
there's some teams that are like in the mid tier that just like can't really do anything. Like the Bulls and the Raptors. I feel like they're just at like a stalemate until they make some serious moves. Like they're just gonna be mid and like be in the play in every year. But then there's teams like the Hornets or the Pacers that could make a move and like take
Mm,
another jump. Kind of like while the Cavs didn't really make a move before Donovan Mitchell, but like that kind of jump where like your guys develop and you make a push. Those teams are full of vets. These teams are full of young guys. And also if you call like the game how like the playoffs have been called, like the more physical and all that kind of stuff, it'll give the young guys a good test. While they also are playing against the worst teams in the NBA, it'll give them some more incentive. And it also kind of eliminates like the Mavericks benching Luka and Kyrie because so they have a chance, like a 0.4 or whatever it is, chance to
mhm.
get the number one pick.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
doing that if they can't get it. Like they're going to
Yeah,
play and they're going to try and get into that 10 slot. But I
exactly.
don't know. That was just my thinking. But overall, the playing games were competitive, except for the Timberwolves Oklahoma City one. I kind of wish the Thunder got in just because I like the Thunder are a fun team.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said
yeah.
that in our chat the other day. I said they're just a cool, fun team to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I like Shea. I like Giddy.
Mm.
They'll be good in a couple, like next year or the year after.
Yeah.
They'll be a damn good team.
Healthy Chet, I feel like, is gonna take their game to the next level and have them be playoff, like
Yeah,
appear
appearance.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think, I think they are one move away from being like really good. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they traded for like they have a boatload of picks. They have 15 over the next 4 years, I think, which is nuts. But
Mm-hmm.
if they traded say 5 picks for Jalen Brown,
Yeah.
that puts them in the upper echelon of the West. No, you get Chet back. You probably won't have your pick this year, but if you gave one from every year for the next 4 or 5 years, and then you threw in a couple swaps with your own picks, you're gonna like Jalen Brown is that kind of guy where he can be a 2 or a 1 on a team, like a really good team, and I think that puts them in the same level as a Memphis or a team kind of like that, as long as they defend. But Jalen Brown defends, but we won't go too much into that. It's more off-season talk and stuff like that. But I think the Thunder are on a good track. I think the Pelicans just have to figure out Zion. I don't know
Fact.
what his deal is, but I think once if he plays, they were the 1 seed when he was playing.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
Timberwolves, they're probably going to lose to Denver in 6 games, 5 games, um, and then the Lakers, you have no idea. They could be really good or they could be really bad.
We will see tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. I do not like them in game one. Just saying. I like the Grizzlies in game one, and then I think the Lakers win game 2, 3, lose 4, win 5, 6. That's my
Yeesh.
prediction. But um, yeah, let's get into the playoffs. Let's start with Golden State, Sacramento, and I mean, what a game! I didn't watch it in its entirety. I was doing some other stuff, dreading my Cavs loss, but we'll get into that later. Um, the game, I mean, I watched the fourth quarter and the first quarter, so I mean, the stadium was rocking the entire time. Um, Kings ended up winning by 3 points. Steph had a late chance to tie the game, send it to OT, did not fall. It was kind of a funky shot, but that's Steph Curry only shoots funky shots generally, and they go in. So looked good, but Kings take the dub. Uh, De'Aaron Fox had the second most points in a playoff debut ever, 38. Malik Monk had 32 off the bench, I believe. And Trey Lyles had a solid game. And it was a high-scoring game, as we all anticipated, the 2 high-scoring offenses with poor defenses. And, yeah, it was wildly entertaining. Let me get your
Actually,
thoughts.
uh, I think it was a great game, and like we said before, I think this is a series that could go to Game 7 just because it's going to be very high scoring, and I think that ultimately the Kings could adjust to play more aggressive defense once they build up the endurance and stamina to be able to play a little bit, harder on defense to make Curry and everybody uncomfortable. But I think that's when, the Warriors are going to need their bench to step up big time. It was great having Andrew Wiggins back for the first time today and him working back up to the starting lineup. And I think he showed tonight that he deserves it. And I think that the more that they get in a flow, it just takes a couple more games to get in that flow of what it's like to come off a championship run. And I think it's gonna be a hell of a game. It was a dog fight tonight. De'Aaron Fox is showing you that he is a top 5 point guard in the league today, a true point guard that is also a dog. He reminds me. I think him and Malik Monk give me that same.
Kentucky boys.
Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna say John Wall, like give me that same energy that, John Wall like would give to Washington, just shooting down the court, just full speed. And that's what I love about those guys. They play at a high pace. There's nothing that you can do to really stop them because they're relentless. They're gonna keep going. They have that speed, quickness to not only score the ball but also defend well. So I still want the Warriors to win, and I think the Warriors will win, but it's not going to be easy, and I'm not going to be upset if Sacramento wins.
Yeah, I think me and you, when we did our predictions, we picked Golden State, but we said we wouldn't be shocked if Sacramento pulled it off. Because while Sacramento is really bad at defense, they have a historically great offense, and I think it's just one because of the pace they play and the multi-dimensional aspects of how they attack on offense. Their
100.
offense will take them places, and they'll definitely win them some games. Like I can't see them getting swept in any series if they move past Golden State.
Yeah.
But I can see them getting in trouble with teams that can really defend at a high level. Like if they win the series and they play the Lakers or the Grizzlies, they're going to have a tougher time. And I think they'll win some games just because of how good their offense is. But being able to throw it to Sabonis on the nail, or have De'Aaron Fox come off a pick and roll, or just flat out run by his defender because he's so fast and shifty. He had a great move toward the end of the game. I think he ended up missing the shot, but it was unbelievable move. And they have shooters everywhere, and their offense will win them games, no doubt. They showed it tonight, and there was definitely some lapses in defense, but that's what you get when you have the 24th ranked defense. But I think it'll be a fun series. I like Golden State to come out just because of championship pedigree, and it's game one. Stadium, first time in 17 years they're even in the playoffs. That stadium was packed, and I think it will be packed for all the games. But I think winning 4 championships, being in the playoffs damn near every year for the last 10 years, the vets, I think it's just a little early for the Kings, which is fine. They need to do, they have to go through it once or twice. It's kind of where I'm at with the Cavs.
Exactly.
Ideally, they'd like to win this series, and if you get out in round 2, I would say that it's a success for the Kings. I think if you push Golden State to 7, that's a success for the Kings on their season.
100.
Definitely went higher than expectations were before the year, for sure. We didn't know how the team was going to look without Halliburton and adding Sabonis, and I think the trade definitely was won, as crazy as it sounds, by the Kings. Even though Halliburton's a hell of a player, I think how many games did we win? 53? 54? 52? Something like that.
I don't know.
But a 50-plus win team is no slouch in the NBA. And, yeah, I think it'll be a wildly entertaining series. I like Golden State in Game 2. I just can't see them going down 0-2. I think this is going against what I believe in, because I feel like the better team throughout the course of the year is going to win. And Golden State has shown me nothing to prove that they are the better team.
Yeah.
It's just all playoffs and experience that I'm basing this on, which is fair because it is the Warriors and it's not like Denver.
Yeah.
Something that hasn't really done anything. But I don't know. I think this series is going to be a lot of fun. I highly recommend. If you didn't watch tonight's game, go check out the next one.
Watch.
But it's going to be a wildly entertaining series either way. Any final thoughts on this game or no?
we're waiting on Finn, but like me and Finn have been saying, like Malik Monk and Swiper are college boys, you know what I'm saying? Both went to Kentucky, both played together, and I think that they are really bringing that energy to their run. And I think Mike Brown is a great coach. Shout out to Mike Brown being coach of the year.
I also think him being on Golden State's staff is going to help them,
100%.
opposed to a new fresh head coach that hasn't really been in the playoffs. Like, even if you want to talk about JB Bickerstaff for the Cavs,
Yeah.
he's done it before, but he hasn't done it recently enough for me that
Yeah.
I'm like, I still think he's a great coach and he'll figure it out. But we'll get into
Yeah.
that. But I think Mike Brown is going to have a big effect on the Kings, and I think he already has. And I think
100.
that I obviously think Steve Kerr is better coach. You can't argue that right now, but I think Mike Brown's done a hell of a job, and I think he'll continue to do that. And
100.
I'm going to be, after this game, I'm going to be betting Golden State series price because I feel like it'll be like minus 150 now. So I'm going to do that. But if you want to do that at home, do it at your own risk. Bet responsibly as always. But let's get a sponsor by a gambling company. That'd be sick.
Appreciate you. We'll see
but-
you out in Vegas.
But we're going to move to another game that happened today, the Atlanta Hawks and the Boston Celtics. I watched bits and pieces, and then I watched the highlights of it. To me, from an outsider's perspective, kind of just looked like Celtics were in control the whole day. And they did what good teams do. They didn't relinquish the lead and did what they were supposed to, come out, win game one on your home floor in a relatively dominant fashion.
Facts. And then welcome. And so all the people who haven't been here so long, go back, watch the OG videos. But been talking about the Hawks all season. My stomach got sick, right? So here's the kicker. We beat Miami in the play-in. I'm like, I could see how we could beat Miami with the new addition of DeJounte Murray and our most recent new hire and a head coach, Quinn Snyder, also known as Twin Snyder. Shout out Coach Twin. But I think that we are seeing a little bit more of how we have filled in the problem, and I think the problem is the agenda of what the Hawks need to do because of their early well-earned success of making it to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, going to a game 6. I feel like that hyped us Hawks fans up, even though that we still have a small market. We drafted a superstar in Trae Young, but we don't really have the budget to really bring any big stars here because of like Atlanta's profit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that has made it a little bit more difficult for us to kind of sit back and make the mistakes that we need to make in order for us to be like, okay, we're gonna fire Nate McMillan, we're gonna get Quinn Snyder, we're gonna trade for DeJounte Murray, we're gonna get Aaron and Justin Holiday out of here, even though we got rid of Kevin Huerter, and I think that now looking at the squad and seeing how we lost to Miami in the first round of the playoffs last year, and knowing how aggressive that Miami still is of a team, I think that they just lost an engine in PJ Tucker. But I think Miami is still an aggressive team, and that's why they are in the playoffs. They're about to go against the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think that series isn't going to be as easy as everybody may think. But I think that the Hawks finally learned how to keep up with that aggressiveness by adding DeJounte Murray, who is one of the league's leaders in steals and transition buckets. You know what I'm saying? He can facilitate for his team just like Trae. And I think that now our big guys, won it. Clint Capella had 21 boards against Miami, and I feel like he really led the charge in bringing the energy that it takes to beat such an aggressive team that is bigger and stronger than us. And I see that our offense is best utilized when the ball is steady moving between Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter. I think that we know how to swing the ball. And I think today Like we cut the lead in the fourth quarter. Like they were up by 27 at one point in the third. And then by the fourth quarter, we cut it down to like 14. Then we cut it down to 10 points when there was about like 3 minutes left in the quarter. Like we had an opportunity to keep up. And yes, Boston is the more aggressive team, the larger team. But I think
Better
that
team, quite frankly.
yeah, a better team, 100% better team. But I think that like Trey Young, not to hate or throw any slack, like he taller than me, but he plays a specific type of basketball that only one, a point guard can play, and two, Trey Young can play. And I think that he is a pest just because like you can't even tell the difference between his floaters and his lobs to a John Collins or a Clint Capella, which breaks down your defense. He's so herky jerky with his movements and knows how to draw contact and create fouls, to get players in early foul trouble. And I feel as if that allows a defense like Miami or Boston to kind of back up a little bit once you get folks with like two fouls already in the first quarter. I feel as if, he starts to, weed that out first. Then the Hawks can organize something to keep the ball moving because you got two great point guards who can facilitate for their team. And I think that they have an opportunity. They just need to seize it. And the dog, Jalen Johnson, this is my last thing. Jalen Johnson is the key. He's so relentless, and I'm so glad that Coach Twin is really taking the time out to play the young cat because he has the heart to go out there and want to attack the rim. He's just a little bit hesitant just because Nate McMillan wasn't allowing him to get on the floor. It's just kind of like a Cam Thomas type situation, but he is the key. We need our bigs to be just as aggressive as our guards.
Yeah, I think. I mean, from the brief, like I watched the highlights and stuff like that, but I think in this series, it really depends on not. I can't think of a better word than this, but how smart Trey Young plays.
One,
I think he's a very smart manipulative player. Like he's
100%.
gonna draw the defense in, he's gonna draw fouls, he's gonna do all that kind of stuff. But then there's points where he'll take a step back 40-footer, and I'm like, why? And so I think stuff like that is what's gonna cost them in this series ultimately. And I feel like the Celtics know what they have to do, and they just do it.
100.
The
100.
Hawks know, but they don't do it.
Yeah,
And I
100.
think that's why the Celtics are the 2 seed, and that's why the Hawks are the 7. But
Yeah.
um, I think it'll be a 5-game series, 6 max. But I think Celtics easily get that one done, and I think they win game 2. I think they control home court as they should, and if they just do their job, they'll get some days off and play Philly, and I think that'll be a hell of a series. But
Very crazy.
let's get into my Cavs, and we'll hope that Finn joins. But
Right on.
um, let's go talk about my Cavs. I'll give my brief soliloquy, and then I'll let you comment, and I'll respond.
Go ahead.
But overall, I was looking at my stats and looking at the preview like any weirdo fan does, like me, and I saw that I knew the Cavs, as good as tall as we are in the front court, we don't rebound as well as we should, and I was worried about that. And after doing some more research, I looked at the Knicks, and the Knicks, for how smaller they are than us in size, like height, they rebound way better than us, and I'm like, that's a major issue, and especially offensive rebounds. Mitchell Robinson leads the league in offensive rebounds at over 5.5 a game. That's a ton of offensive rebounds for one player to get. Josh Hart, another guy that just runs around and gets boards. And I was very worried that was going to happen. And I watched all the little practice interviews and press conferences, whatever, before the series. And I said, they're all focusing on it. So they're all talking about it. I don't want us to get out rebounded. And what happened? We got absolutely bitched on the boards. There's no other word for it. Mitchell Robinson got like 4 in one possession, and I was like, what are we doing? Josh Hart got 5 or 6 offensive rebounds tonight. And that was the biggest difference in the game. We held them to 42% shooting. They're the 4th best offense in the NBA. We're the number 1 defense, but holding a team to 40% shooting, even if you're shooting 40%, we shot 43.5 or something. You should win that game. But if you lose in second chance points, offensive rebounds, fast break points, points off turnovers, you are going to lose. All of those things we lost in, you're going to lose. And the fact that we only lost by 4 gives me a little hope. Not a little bit of hope. I've always had hope, and I know we're going to win this series. However, Donovan Mitchell is unbelievable. I'm just going to keep it how it is. He's unbelievable. Just every time the camera panned to him, he's just straight face every time, except for a couple moments where he made some huge plays and gets all hype. Darius Garland had a solid game, a little bit quieter, but than I wanted. I wanted him to have a better game than he did. A lot of turnovers and weird passes and a lot of no calls that I guess he was expecting, but you don't really know until you go through it, if that makes sense. Like there's a couple times he was going through the lane and got like hit on his arms and he lost the ball. And like they're gonna call that in the regular season when you're playing the Hornets, but they're not calling that in the playoffs. So I think that's just adjustment stuff. I think Evan Mobley had a really rough night on offense, great defensively, but as he always is, but offensively not good enough. And we didn't really establish them, but to be fair, they kind of sucked, him and JA on offense. So why would we? And Karis LeVert, it could be easy to place the blame on him. He shot 1 of 7 in 18 minutes. I'm not doing that. I didn't like. I expected Karis to play a little bit better than 1 for 7, but I mean, I can't. He didn't play in down the stretch like he normally does. And good on JB for not playing him just because you know what he can be. He said in his post game that I'm going to play guys in the playoffs that are producing in that game. Another thing that really pissed me off early in the game, why the fuck were we playing Dean Wade? I'm serious. Like, I get he's 6'9" and he matches up with Randall in height. He's scrawny, so like most of our guys are, and also he can't defend, and he's like not gonna hit wide open threes. He shot 1 3, hit the opposite corner on the backboard. Like, what are we doing here? Why isn't Lamar Stevens not in? That's a fucking guy that's gonna box the shit out of Josh Hart and grab the fucking rebound.
Did y'all have Isaac Okoro today?
Yeah, he played. He did a good job on Brunson. He drew 2 early fouls on him, got him out, and then when he came back in, we drew a 3rd one on him. So Brunson only played 9 minutes in the first half. Had a great 3rd quarter. Randall's a little cheap, dirty player. Don't like Randall. Do like Brunson, though. Brunson's a bucket. I give respect when it's due. Randall had a good first quarter and kept them afloat. But Brunson was really good in the 3rd and 4th.
Yeah.
But overall, I have a couple complaints. I'm hopeful. And I do think we'll win this series. I think the fact we only lost by 4 and we, as bad as we've played in a long time, we only lost by 4 and we should have won. Kind of like Josh Hart made a crazy 3. And we just didn't like our guys. Evan didn't have his touch around the rim, which is so weird for him. But we'll win game 2. We'll win game 3. We'll probably win 4 and 5, and we'll just win in 5. But no, overall, we can't lose the rebounding battle. We did it. We were tied in the first half, and we were down 5, and it was just because we turned the ball over a gazillion times. But in the second half and 4th quarter, it was awful. But let me get your thoughts on this game, and then I'll give my final concluding thoughts.
Yeah. I think that, I knew the New York Knicks had something this year. I told people to watch out, and I'm glad that Donovan Mitchell has a home that really allows him to flourish in the ways that he needs to, and especially with the guys around him like Darius Garland, And I think that the Cavs had the opportunity, and I think for a lot of teams right now, they have a lot of guys who are kind of like sitting dormant on the bench. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if you give them the light of day, which is kind of tough to do in a playoff, but I think that if you really had the 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 energy that you bring towards your team when coaching, to let these players be free and figure out how to craft the best offense, the best schemes to get you buckets, kind of like Sacramento. Like their offenses or their defense is crap, but because they're able to run those offensive schemes, a lot of it just ends up being De'Aaron Fox, go do what you do. Malik Monk, go do what you do. And I think that Donovan Mitchell carries that type of thing, but I feel like he's more organized with how he goes to get his own bucket. But I think that Darius Garland and Evan Mobley really need to tap into that offensive style of play of, okay, in times of need, how can I facilitate my role so that it's not just Spider,
Yeah.
really really doing what he needs to do. And then, like, I missed the first like half of the game and some part of the third quarter, and I really got into the game when it was crunch time, and then it was just Jalen Brunson versus Donovan Mitchell. And
Was actually really the Knicks versus an offensive rebounding versus Donovan
um,
Mitchell, but um, no, I mean on DG and Evan, I don't expect like this is his first playoff series. He's 21 years old. Like I'll cut the guy some slack. DG, I'll cut him some slack. But last year in the play-in, when obviously we didn't have Donovan Mitchell, but DG was averaging 30 in the two play-in games. I need to see that Darius again. I need him to have a game where he goes for 35. I need one of those. We're not going to be able to command this series the way I think we should if we're not getting one of those. Donovan's going to give you 35 plus a night. He just is. He's giving you 30 at minimum a night. And I think Brunson's going to give you that 25 to 32 a night. He's going to give it to you, and Donovan's going to edge him out a little bit, but it's up to Evan and Darius, mainly Darius for me this season. It has to be Darius. Are you going to outplay Randall? Are you going to play up to Jalen Brunson's level? And there was points in this game where I was like, DG, let's go. And they did something different that I haven't seen them do in a long time. They played him off the ball a little bit more and let Donovan run it. And while Donovan obviously was cooking and it was really good, it kind of forced the Knicks to go and be like, all right, am I hedging off Darius and letting him shoot an open three, or am I letting Donovan get to the rim? And it caused them some problems early in the fourth. And I want to do that more. But I also want DG to shoot more threes. He's not shooting as many threes. He only shoots like 5 now, which is still like a sizable amount. But for how good he shoots them and from the range he can shoot them with, I want him to just be more aggressive. And he only had 1 assist tonight, which is very odd. They took away our lobs, which was big, especially for Darius trying to figure it out, I think. And he does a really good job of that. He's a smart player. But I want him to shoot, instead of throwing that lob, shoot that 15-footer. He shot it a couple times and swished it like it's butter. Just do it more. Take a floater, take a step back mid range, take a turnaround 3. I don't care. He's good enough to make those shots. I'm excited for the rest of the series. I still think we're going to win. And my best friend wanted me to give him a shout out. So fuck you, Judd. He's a Knicks fan, but I told him it'd be a negative shout out. But, we'll see you in game 2. Don't worry about that. The series is still coming home, but he's up 15 right now on the money front. But yeah, so let's go into the Nets Sixers game. Close first half, kind of a blowout second half. This Nets made a couple runs, but if you want to start on this one, I have a couple thoughts, but nothing too major. Kind of what we expected.
I can say because I don't have much to say either. I think that Mikal Bridges really has Brooklyn secure with how they can build for the future to really, combat, a Philadelphia. I think that Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson's duo is what made Phoenix so great, is part of what made Phoenix so great. So no matter where those two end up going together, because it's like a brotherhood and they're able to bring that to the Brooklyn Nets, I think that the more that you have, that fire that they bring, I think that allows Claxton to be a little bit more loose to have him be more aggressive offensively against a Joel Embiid. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Mikal is the key. Shout out to Cam Johnson. I think Cam Thomas needs to be in the second lineup to really, be set free, just because he showed Jacques Vaughn and the Brooklyn Nets and the rest of the league everything that he was capable of in those times where, Kyrie Irving wasn't there. And it wasn't as if those games didn't matter. He's just going out there and putting his life on the line. You know what I'm saying? Which is what you want him to do in a playoff game where he's already shown you he's a dog, and he has that mentality towards everybody else in the league, not just in the Eastern Conference. So I think that could really come in handy, having to combat another a quick guard in Tyrese Maxey. You know what I'm saying? And I think James Harden had a hell of a game. Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid. Philly got a squad. That's basically all I got to say.
Yeah, what did we say in our predictions video? We said James Harden's going to give you one of these games. He's going to give you that 28 plus
Yeah,
point per game
yeah.
game, and he gave it to you. 7 threes. And I mean, the Sixers just are a better team with more star power. We all expect Finn. I wish he was here right now because he actually thinks they can win the series, the Nets, which
My
is
brother.
wild. Which is wild to me. But they did their game plan for Embiid was actually very interesting. It was simple, but it worked. They held him to 7 shots in the first half, only 20 under 30 points, which for Embiid standards is good. Um, and they did what they wanted to, but the Sixers just have too many guys. You're not going to get another 7-3 game from Harden. I don't think. I don't think you're getting 7 threes from Harden consistently. I think Maxey's going to give you a game where he goes crazy. I think that's going to happen. So that's just another one that you kind of just chalk up because Embiid's going to
Yeah.
give you buckets. Like he's just going to. Um, and I think game plan wise, they did a lot. And I think Mikal Bridges is going to be really, really good in this league. I think he already is. But I think this is like if he can win 2 games in this series and like lead them to victories, I think that really puts him on the map. And then in like the offseason time when people do their top 25s or 30s or 50 players, he'll be moving up that list. And I think this is the time to do it. I don't think the Nets are winning this series. I think it's over in 5 games. But I mean, we expected Philly to dominate this series, and I think they did that in game 1. But yeah, that's basically all we got. Any final comments? Any predict? You want to go through predictions for tomorrow's games?
Yeah, who's playing tomorrow? LA, Memphis.
Yeah, let me see. All right, starts off with LA Memphis at 3 o'clock. Memphis is favored by 3.5.
Where are they?
Memphis,
I can see it. I can see it.
Memphis.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Memphis gets game 1. I think they do. It'll be close, no
That
doubt.
it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
Nice early tip off. I think it'll be a good game. But I'm gonna give it to Memphis in game 1, and then we're gonna do these after every night of the playoffs, hopefully. So we'll just be pumping these out, and we'll give you our predictions for the following day, and then we'll reflect on them, how we did. But the next game is Bucks Heat. The Bucks are favored by 9.5.
Where are they?
Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucks.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 218 total. Yeah, give me the Bucks minus 9.5. I think both of those teams win and cover. Um, Next game, Phoenix Clippers in Phoenix. Phoenix is favored by 7.5.
Phoenix. Phoenix. The claw is gonna show out though.
I gotta go Phoenix. I can't
No
pick.
PG. Bones Highland got to show up too.
I
Tyler
can't pick all the
get busy.
favorites though. That's so lame. But I mean, it is playoffs. You pick the favorites. But 7.5 is a lot of points. It started at 9, and I wish I bet it at 9, but it's down to 7.5. The spread. I'm gonna go. No, I'm gonna go Clippers. I'm gonna go with my gut. I think they keep it close. I don't think they win, but I think they cover the spread. If you just want my spread picks, and we can track them throughout. But I didn't bet any spreads today, so I guess we'll just chalk those 4 games up. But so we both have Phoenix winning. I have Clippers covering. But Minnesota, Denver. In Denver, Denver is also favored by 7.5.
Man, Denver gonna squash them fools, bro.
Yeah, Denver's gonna.
It's gonna be bad. That may be the sweep this season.
You think they sweep them? I don't. I kind of want to go with Milwaukee sweeping Miami. As crazy as that sounds, I don't think it will, but
Jimmy Butler's not gonna let that happen.
yeah, I'm not a Jimmy guy though.
South Beach is different, and I'm not a Jimmy guy neither. But like, look at them now. They lost to the Hawks, and Chicago had them. You know.
Fair. But all right, give me Denver minus 7.5. If you want, I sent my boys my picks. Let me just pull that up. I had Sixers, Boston, Cavs, and Sac. So I went 3-1 on the day. Cavs, of course, sold me, but I picked all the favorites. Screw me, whatever. That's how the playoffs go. The home teams generally win. And I also saw a stat for all you bettors out there that may not be super educated. In the last 172 games before tonight, the team that has won, if they're the favorite, they've covered the spread. And if they're if you're going to bet the underdog, you bet the money line because they win straight up. They're 138 and 14.
Wow.
Or 100 out of 152 games, they're 138 and 14. That thing. So I told my younger brother, go and just take the spreads if you think the team's going to win. If they're the favorite, take the money line. So if you took the Knicks today as the underdog and took their money line, obviously they won. All the other favorites covered the spread. So that's just my little betting corner. But
listen to the man.
But overall, fuck the Knicks, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.